because I guarantee you, a lot of you guys are only getting 80 or 90 grams of protein, or maybe even less, all right? And that's not nearly enough if you're really trying to build muscle, especially as we get older. Hi, I'm Mark McKillian with Live Anabolic, and I want to talk to you about 4 daily things you can do every day to help build muscle. And these are habits, guys, that need to become that. Habits, things you do day after day, week after week, month after month, okay? If you just kind of do them sporadically, occasionally, it's not going to really help much, all right? You don't have to be perfect, all right? But you need to at least know about these 4 things so that you can kind of do as best you can on a daily basis. And so, guys, when we were young, you didn't have to worry about all 4 of these things very much. Things just work better, right? I mean, I don't have to kind of preach to you about the good old days, but as we've gotten older, man, it just becomes harder and harder to build muscle. And so there's, little tips and tricks that we can do. And basically, the more of these that you can implement and be consistent with, the easier it is to build muscle, even when you get into your 50s, 60s, and 70s. So I just turned 60, and I'm able to still keep on and build muscle simply because I do as good a job as I can at kind of sticking with these daily habits. And I'm going to go through them with you in just a second. But some of them are super simple, all right? And you'll have no excuse, guys, for neglecting some of these simple tips. Some of them are a little hard, but none of them are really, really tough, all right? So you really don't have any real excuse why you can't follow these tips. So I don't want to hear any complaining, guys. All right, the first tip, guys, is not the easiest, but it is still really easy. And I know it's going to sound boring, but it's hydration. And here I got my little prop here, all right? And this is my other prop. So these are this is the trick I'm going to get to in a minute. It's not just about drinking water. Because if you're like me, you just get tired of the taste of water. It's just so bland. It's kind of hard to force yourself to drink. And a lot of times, you're not really thirsty, all right? And so just because you're not thirsty doesn't actually mean you're not dehydrated. I know that may sound weird, but that is true. So first thing you need to think about, guys, is in the morning. All right, you've been asleep all night. You probably didn't have any water, I don't know, for at least an hour, maybe 2 hours before you went to bed. Maybe you've been in bed for 7 hours. It's been at least 9, sometimes 10 hours since you've had a drink, all right? So I wake up in the morning, I'm not thirsty, but I am dehydrated, all right? You've been breathing, exhaling all night long. You lose a lot of moisture through your breath. It's not about sweating. A lot of people have the misperception that dehydration comes from just massive sweating when you're running or working out or out in the hot sun. You're constantly losing water. So first thing in the morning, force yourselves to drink a glass of water, okay? You may not be thirsty, you may not be craving it, but I promise, really first thing in the morning while you're brushing your teeth, taking your vitamins, your pills, whatever, your supplements, try to get a good, full 8 ounces of water. And then the other side benefit of that I learned because I was having problems with this years ago is that will really help with your bowel movements. So, having a good bowel movement is one of the most fun things I have to look forward to all day. So guys, years ago, I was having problems with it and I couldn't figure out what the deal was because I was eating healthy. It turns out I just was dehydrated. I started drinking some water in the morning and boom, man, I just became incredibly regular from then on out. So you get a double benefit. Now the other thing is, guys, I'm going to tell you some more about why water is so important. And that is, your muscles are made up primarily of water. It's 75% of your muscle fibers are water. So when you get dehydrated, the muscles literally won't contract as efficiently, all right, or as hard as they will when they're fully hydrated. That's why all these professional athletes are so serious about drinking tons of water and liquids and Gatorade and all those kind of other things with electrolytes. That's kind of a different conversation. But your muscles really just do not work nearly as well when they're dehydrated, okay? And that kind of goes without saying. And some of the other reasons that water is important is because, when we do our workouts, we're creating a lot of damage, intentionally creating damage to our muscle fibers. And so those muscles have to repair those damaged fibers. And they use the protein that we feed our muscles to help repair and rebuild those. And that protein synthesis needs a lot of water, okay? So when you don't have enough water in your system, the protein synthesis that's part of the regrowing of the muscle fibers and repairing them after we intentionally damaged them just doesn't work very well. So you're not getting as much bang for your buck. You know, you may be killing yourself working out hard and you're just, you know, you're fired up about your workouts, but you may only be getting 50% of the potential benefits because you're not hydrated, okay? Water also flushes a lot of toxins out of our body. And I mean, on just all day long, it's really important to get rid of those things. When you're hydrated, you have more blood volume, all right? Your blood is less viscous, all right? It's more liquid, and it makes it easier for your heart to pump the blood around your body to all the muscle fibers in your cells, and that makes it easier to deliver all the nutrients, all right, that you're feeding your body to the muscles, all right? So, and that also helps lower your blood pressure when you're really well hydrated. So there's tons and tons of good things. Even though it's boring topic, it's a really easy one to take care of. And then this is my trick. Remember I said I get tired of just drinking plain old water. And so if you don't kind of crave it, then it means you don't do it and then you get dehydrated. Well, this is carbonated flavored water from the grocery store. It's got 0 calories, all right? It tastes great, and I really dig the carbonation, all right? So I drink tons of this stuff. And the other thing you guys can do, if you don't want to do this, you can buy these little squirt bottles of flavoring, okay? And you just shoot a little squirt in plain water. It doesn't have to be this carbonated stuff. And it adds a really nice flavor to it, and they're sugar-free. So that's the goal, guys. Just avoid sugars. Drink anything you want, okay? As long as it doesn't have a lot of sugar in it. That's the key. All right, guys, tip number 2. Aren't you happy I've quit talking about water? Not going to mention it again. Tip number 2 is the toughest, though, of the 4 tips. And it's the hardest one for me, too. And it concerns nutrition. So, guys, the best way to build muscle is by eating a really good, balanced, whole food meals, all right? And you got to do it consistently, all right? That's the other thing. You know, you can eat good 2 or 3 times a week, but that ain't enough, all right? Because the deal is, if you only focus on eating a really good, nutritious meal right after your workouts, you're not going to get the full effect, because guess what? Your muscles take 2, 3, sometimes 4 days to fully repair. So the meals that you eat a day, 2, 3 days later are still affecting the muscle repairs that you damaged earlier in the week. And that's why you got to do it, you know, so consistently. And, you know, that's also the toughest thing to do. So when you're eating really healthy meals, guys, make sure that you're getting some protein in there, because remember, it's the protein that your muscles use to basically repair themselves. You know, protein synthesis means we have to be consistently getting enough protein in our meals. Now, so this video is not about what proteins to eat, but it's basically just to tell you that you need to be concerned about it and constantly looking, you know, when you're eating, to make sure you're getting some good stuff in there. So you also need plenty of good healthy carbs and fats. All right, and this is, once again, this is not a video about how to eat or what to eat. I just want you to keep it top of mind, okay? Because if all you do is eat a chicken breast every day after you work out, all right, that ain't gonna cut it. Your body needs good healthy carbs and good healthy fats to help promote healthy hormones and all the other things that are going on in your body. So nutrition is key to building muscle. A lot of guys think eating healthy is only about losing body fat. So that's really been a topic of tons and tons of our videos. Matter of fact, of YouTube in general, you know, eat healthy to lose fat. Well, guess what? You also need to eat healthy to build muscle. All right, so tip number 3 is by far the easiest. This is the one I like the most, because I like to do easy things, and that is supplementation. So guys, supplements are not the cure-all, end-all for everybody, but they really do help a lot of men. Some guys, for some reason, just don't respond to supplements, all right? It could be just genetically, or it could be that their nutrition is just so good that their body doesn't really need those supplements, all right? And that's why it's called a supplement and not a primary, right? Your nutrition is your primary, but supplements are just too easy not to at least try, all right? So we get some fantastic stuff. Anabolic Reload is wonderful. And I'm not gonna go into all the ingredients because there's so many of them and I can't keep track of them in my head, but click the link below this video. It'll shoot you over to our website and then just read a little bit about Anabolic Reload and what's in it, and then we also explain why we put all those ingredients in there. So it's a fantastic way to help your body produce as much testosterone as it naturally can. So it's not testosterone. All it does is help your body increase its natural production of testosterone. And of course, it kind of goes without saying, I've shot lots of videos on this, how important testosterone is to building muscle. And it's important day in and day out. So, if your testosterone is doing this, through the course of the week or the month, you're just not going to see the muscle growth that you otherwise would if you could keep your testosterone levels at a really optimal level. So just give it a shot. And the other thing is, guys, if it doesn't work for you, it's a no-brainer. Just let us know. We got by far and away the best policy in the entire fitness industry. We will refund your money, okay? So, but you won't know if you don't try, and it's the easiest of the 4 tips. Okay, thankfully, I know you guys are wanting to get to the end of this video. What is the 4th and final tip, all right? And that is protein supplements. This is not about popping a pill, but I just want you to remember, guys, that it's hard for me to get enough protein in my daily diet, all right? And so how much do you need? Well, I would say most men need about 7/10 of a gram of protein for each pound of body fat, but that's a very rough approximation. So if you are 100 pounds overweight, all right, then that formula gets thrown off, all right? So if you weigh 300 pounds and you need 7/10 of a gram per pound, that'd be 210 grams of protein. That's a whole lot. So you don't need all that protein for all that extra body fat you're carrying. So typically it's like 7/10 of a gram per pound of body weight at your optimal body weight. So, maybe your optimal body weight is really 200 pounds, not 300. So you would take 7/10 of a gram, multiply it by 200, and that would be 140 grams of protein. So, and once again, that's very rough approximation, guys. But even then, it's fairly hard for a lot of guys to get 140 grams of protein. And how do you know if you're getting enough? Guys, you're going to have to write it down. Not every day, just once or twice on a typical day. I want you to write down every single thing you eat, especially every protein source you eat. And so if you say, all right, I ate some chicken, for lunch, you need to have a good approximation for how much chicken. Did you eat 1 ounce? Did you eat 7 ounces? What does that look like? So you need to do a little research. You just write it down one day and then you go figure it out. There's tons of apps on the internet that'll tell you how many grams of protein are in every single food that you ate that day. And so you gotta know, because I guarantee you a lot of you guys are only getting 80 or 90 grams of protein, or maybe even less, all right? And that's not nearly enough if you're really trying to build muscle, especially as we get older, all right? And so 2 of the things that I do daily is I take protein supplements, all right? Because it's just easy, they taste good. I take a protein bar, there's tons of them out there, okay? And, just make sure that what you're taking doesn't have a lot of extra loaded up sugars, all right? Processed sugars are just crummy for you. So I take a protein bar, but I also take a whey protein powder, all right? Different times of the day, I try to spread it out, all right? And, once again, when you're buying these whey protein powders, make sure it's not loaded with a lot of extra carbs. Because some of them, if you don't pay attention, are not just protein, they're weight gainers. And that's not for guys like us, it's for all these young skinny kids out there that can't put on any weight at all. And so they have a lot of protein in the powder, but it's also loaded with tons and tons of carbs, just to cram a bunch of calories in there, and you don't want that. So tip number 4, try protein bars, try protein powders. keep track of how much you eat on a typical day. You don't have to do it every day, because after you follow this and look at what you're eating and kind of do the math on it, you'll know real close to where you're getting on an average day. And I promise you, it's a 15-minute task that you only have to do once or twice, and then you know what you're normally getting week in and week out. Oh my gosh, this was a hard video to shoot for some reason today. I don't know what's going on with me. I hope you did not fall asleep before you got to the end right here, because I promise those are good tips. I just didn't have my best delivery today. I don't know what's going on. But I promise you, if you stick with these tips and never give up on yourself, you will build muscle even well past your 50s.